Man. So will we go to 16 schools, or we'll keep it at 14 schools?
All righty. We are live. It is Speak It Thursday. Drop your city. We are live on HOH 77.7. We are live on Facebook. I am your host, Shulie. You can hit me up at Shulie Says on Instagram, and then tune in live with us. Get ready. Drop your city. Let us know where you're from. We're getting ready to have some fun in the name of HBCU love tonight. Where are you? Where are you from? Let's get these comments rocked to come in. Have your virtual seat. And we'll meet our guests. Tonight we need to have this discussion. HBCUs are so very important to African Americans. We've been going strong since the 1800s, since before the Civil War. I've been doing my homework on this, you guys. And we needed a place to go. We needed a place to land. We needed a place to be excellent. And HBCUs have been providing that, and they're still providing it for us. And they're relevant. However, some people seem to think that there is no longer a place for HBCUs, and we're going to talk about it. And we have people in the house now from Houston. We have Lafayette in the house. We have Dallas in the house. Thank you all for tuning in on HOH 77.7 digital radio. Thank you all for tuning in on Facebook. Let's go ahead and get this party started and introduce our guests. The way you give a round of applause on this show is with your likes. We want to hear those likes. We want to see those hearts. We want to have your questions, and we want your feedback. We're going to speak it tonight with our guests. First up, we have, and I'm going in order for how I see you all. We have LeBrandan Jenkins. I guess I'm the unbiased host tonight. He happens
Gram fam, baby.
Mr. LeBrandan Jenkins here from Houston, Texas, but he is Gram fam. And we have Roenia. She's in the house. I want to make sure I see your name. She is an alum of Prairie View A&M University. And we have Dr. Tia. She's in the house. She is an alum of Southern. I have to make sure I say this because I'm used to saying Southern. She's an alum. Shots fired already, but I love
already.
But she's an alum of Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And then we have Brother Jensen. He is an alum of University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. So
yes, ma'am.
No, we have the SWAC in the house tonight.
That's right, baby.
Mm-hmm.
How y'all doing?
I'm great.
Awesome.
No complaints.
Very good. So we're going to really let you talk about. Getting some feedback. Give me a second real quick.
That's probably me.
Okay. So go ahead. If you have something playing in the background, you might want to turn it down on the low. We're still here.
Can you hear it?
Yes, she's froze.
Okay, it's not just me.
Yeah, no.
No, we'll be right there. So now we've been good. Now these tech issues want to pop up, but we're going to keep it rolling. All right. SWAC love. Who wants to go first? Tell us, how did you first fall in love with your HBCU? That is the question of the hour.
Okay.
I'll go first. UAPB got to be, we got to lead off always.
Really?
Well, I'm a third generation alum from my university.
All 12 of them.
Yeah, I'm a third generation alum of UAPB. So I've been going to UAPB since I was like 10 or 11. And originally I didn't start out at UAPB. I was a transfer student, so I ended up coming from a PWI to the HBCU. So and I got I should have came sooner, but I got here. I've been, like I said, I grew up on my mom and my daddy's side. I'm a second generation on my daddy's side, UAPB alum. On my mom's side, I'm the third generation because the first one to graduate went in the late 40s. My great auntie and great uncle went in the late 40s, and they set the standard, the precedent,
right there.
For me coming to UAPB, and I love it. Everything you could possibly want a university, from the campus life, to faculty, to the friends you make, to the atmosphere, not even just homecoming events, just in general. You get HBCU, and that's how I feel.
All right. Talk your ish. That's what we're going to say tonight, but in the best possible way, because we keep it over here at Speak.
Come on, keep it clean.
Fall in love with your HBCU. That's what we're trying to find out from our guests tonight.
So I'll go next. I fell in love with Prairie View because Prairie View came to me. I was a high school student at Eisenhower High School in Houston, and the theater program, the Charles Gibbon Players, came down and they did a song and dance show, and I was hooked. I had never seen anything like it before. I knew that I wanted to major in theater, but I also went on a college tour, and I went to Louisiana to some of the other HBCUs, and Prairie View was not on the list. I went to Southern, I went to Grambling, and I ran out of Louisiana. What? I ran out of Louisiana. When I saw the campuses, I just was like, no, I can't do this. So because I really wanted to go to Grambling. That was my first love, because I did see them on different commercials, and I was like, wow, I really want to go to that school. But when I got there, I knew it wasn't for me. So then I came back and I went to Pantherland Day on the Hill my senior year. And when I got to the campus, it was something I had never seen before. But I just remember some years prior to, I went to the campus and it didn't look like that. So Prairie View made some strides in the housing department before I got there. The campus was rocking, and their recruitment program was just so strong. When it came to theater, I couldn't pass it up. I had a lineage of family members that attended Prairie View because my family is from Hempstead as well, which is a few miles away from Prairie View. And they majored in agriculture. And before I got to Prairie View, my brother was an architecture major there. And I really didn't want to, be around him. I kind of wanted to get away, but it was just such an attractive university that I could not stay away. And I want to send a shout out to the Marching Storm. Thank you so much for the things that you did for me when I first hit the campus. If it were not for you, I probably would not have been able to do the things that I was able to do while at Prairie View.
Okay, let the people know real quick. The Marching Storm. We don't know them. Who are they?
Marching Storm. You know who they are. You definitely know who they are.
We don't know them.
The Prairie View A&M University Marching Storm is the university marching band that has, for the last few years, I would even take it back to my crab year in 2001. We've been putting the smackdown on Grambling.
Hold on. Listen. Now you overstepping your boundaries.
I just want to let y'all know. We've been putting the smackdown for a while now. But all jokes aside, the Marching Storm have some wonderful people that have actually come through the program. When I was there, I was under the leadership of the late Prof. Edwards. Those that don't know him, he's a graduate and alum from FAMU. So a lot of the things that Prairie View does, it is based on FAMU. It is. And we know that FAMU is the father of all, SWAC, show style marching band. So we always tend to get into these debates about who does it better, but Prairie View is from the prototype. So that's a little bit about the Marching Storm. And right now they're under the leadership of Dr. Zachary.
Got it. So Paula Sun says, here we go with this mess.
This foolishness. Yeah, thank you, Paula. We appreciate it.
Take your virtual your city and rep your school. Okay, Miss Roenia has come in and she's already started it. Shots fired already. But we still need to hear from Dr. Tia over here. She looks like she has something to say, and looks like she's wearing one version of blue. I still don't know.
This color. You know what blue we have. Don't do it.
Now let's keep it real, Tia.
Be neutral. I see
y'all have 7 colors.
I'm gonna work on
it. These are 7 colors. What I have on, and it says SU alumni 40 under 40. I'm a member of the inaugural cohort for the Alumni Federation. So
I love it.
To the Southern University Alumni Federation, where I serve as a life member. I always wanted to go to Southern, as long as I could. As long as I could. Yes. My brother was a phenomenal football player. He played on the O-line from 91 to 96, and that was during an era when we was just kicking butt all over the place.
Can I interrupt you really quickly?
We have the rings to prove it. We have.
Can I interrupt you? Can I interrupt you really quickly?
Let's just go. Don't
You
do
said
that.
91 to 96.
That's correct. We have the rings to
3,
prove
4, 5. Oh, okay.
In addition to
what we're doing.
additional year, he was redshirted in 91. So he was an engineering major. Thank you. Engineering major. So he had a degree.
Don't tell us how you fell in love, girl.
Just he was all over the place. I mean, oh my God.
Don't worry about him.
Doctor, I mean, we can't help ourselves, all right? So don't do it. Anyway. So, I mean, I grew up loving Southern University. My brother could have went to a lot of different schools, but my mom, who raised us as a single parent, she drummed in us to go to an HBCU because that's where you were going to learn who you were. And she was absolutely right about that. I mean, all I knew was Southern University. All he knew was Southern University. And so he went first, of course, and he was a recipient of the Upward Bound program, and so was I. I basically followed in his footsteps, even though I was smarter. But I mean, that really helped us get acclimated to college life. It shaped us and molded us into becoming true students in the collegiate world, and I will forever be thankful to the TRIO programs, Upward Bound and Educational Talent Search. And so we were able to gain access to opportunities that we wouldn't have probably never had we not been a part of that. But Southern University they wrapped their arms around us. I mean, they showed us tough love. Yeah, we were in long lines to get registered. I mean, everybody has.
Hey, that's everywhere.
That's the story. But it really taught you how to be resilient, and it proved how much you really and truly loved being where you were. You were dedicated, and so from then on, I mean, that's where my heart belongs. My heart belongs to Southern University. That's where my money goes. That's who I dedicate my time to, and they will always be my number one.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, before we get into some things, we're going to go to commercial on air, and you guys stay live on Facebook. We're going to kind of talk through some things, do some quizzes. We want to hear from the audience and see what they have to say, see who's representing. So go ahead and drop your city and drop where you went to school. We'll be right back live on HOH 77.7. You stay locked. Now over here on this side, we have KP Hodges, who said HBCU proud. Real quick, let's do a quick little quiz. Quiz. Do you remember your first dorm? Where did you stay?
Oh, yeah.
Addis Hall, baby.
Absolutely.
Trey 7.
We ain't talked about Grambling yet. You're not going to give them this flow, and we don't talk about the G.
No, we don't talk about it.
Oh, okay.
What is there to say?
It's so much. Listen, because I got my notes.
Well, my first one was at Hall, but my first dorm, I know them count was at Newberry. But forget, I went to PWI. So my first HBCU one was at Hall, which I don't even think is even open anymore now.
So somebody said Martha Spice Adams. So yeah, we had our little dorms on campus. We have some Hunter Rob. We have Graham fam representing. I don't know where Southern is. I don't know where you at.
Man, let me go to my Facebook, make sure this thing is shared.
Y'all people missing. I saw some PV on here. But you know, Graham family in the building.
The Grambling State University.
Come on, Tammy.
represent
Grambling State.
And so, yeah, when we come back, go ahead. We have 30 seconds, and then we're going to be back. So get ready. LeBrandan, what you talking about?
All right.
Wait a minute. I'm going to lead us in. No, I'm just saying, prepare your heart and mind.
All right.
Okay, guys, I'm just still looking. We have people in the comments here. Paula, Hunter, Rob, Wheatley Hall. Thank you all for tuning in live. We're getting ready to go back live and continue our conversation. And this time, we're going to keep it rocking. Welcome back to Speak It with your girl, Shulie. We are live on HOH 77.7. Tune in. Every Thursday, I'm here to speak it. It's about the truth. It's about having conversations that are important in our communities. This is a platform to talk about things that you might not hear everywhere else. And I'm so glad to talk about tonight. HBCUs love the importance of the HBCU experience. Some people need to understand it because there are some students who are undecided. And HBCUs are out there and they're waiting. Brandon, what you got for us? Talk to us.
All right. How y'all doing, Gram fam? Show us some love, baby, in this place. Prairie View was talking all that noise about they hated Louisiana. They get a football stadium and then want to start talking trash. I'm just throwing that out there. But man, I am a 2000 graduate of Grambling State University. Believe it or not, Grambling was not my first choice. I wanted to attend Dillard University. Dillard was a little expensive, and they didn't give full rides. And my mom would not allow me to go to a PWI. She told me because of my mouth, they would flunk me and I'd never graduate, right? And those
probably right about that.
Who know me, right? You know me, so she's probably telling the truth, right? But I went to a program in the summer of my junior year, going into my senior year, called High Ability. And Grambling offers that program to students who have a 3.3 or higher GPA. And what you do is you get a chance to spend your summer on a college campus and earn college credit. So I ended up going to High Ability. We had this thing called High Ability Food, Scooby-Doo. If my people on, y'all know what we're talking about. And that's what attracted me to Grambling. After I left that program for that summer, there was nowhere else that I wanted to be. Just the atmosphere, just the fun, just the love that everyone showed. The professors, even though we were in high school, they made sure that we understood what was going on. They cared about us, right? And so to transition from a high school like that to get that same feeling in college made me feel like there was nowhere else that I'd rather be. I've made some of my best friends at Grambling. Grambling taught me basically how to survive, right? It taught me patience. It taught me endurance. It taught me how to work for what I wanted and to never give up and to never let it down. Because, we have this phrase at Grambling, the college where everybody is somebody with a fee sheet, right? And so if you had that fee sheet, the yellow piece of paper, you were good to go. But, even without that yellow piece of paper, Grambling still did everything in their power to make sure that everybody had an opportunity to be successful, right? And I can't speak for other schools, but the one thing I can say about Grambling was that if you went there, whether you finished or not, you left with a love for a place like nothing ever before. Yeah. People love their universities. And that's the one thing about all of our HBCUs, not just Grambling. We love the pride. We love what our universities stand for, and we love what they did. And that's what Grambling did for me. I honestly feel like in my career, I would not be where I am without my experiences and what I learned at the Grambling State University.
Hey, and I'm really a biased host, but really unbiased because the HBCU love is real. And Nadia Washington said, if you make it at
an HBCU, you can make it anywhere.
Right.
That's a true statement.
You know what another true statement is? We may talk about each other, but no one from the outside better not talk about us.
Man,
we're gonna shut you down.
We will. Yes, we will. Let somebody talk about my friend from Grambling. Right there.
Listen, you will get. You might even lose a friend fooling around trying to talk about somebody else from another university. Yeah.
And the awesome thing about it is, like, some of my best friends, my good friends, my work buddies, they go to Grambling, and it just makes the workplace even more exciting. When you walk into the building after a game with Southern, you better had won the game.
Yeah.
You're gonna hear all of this, and you know, for a long time, Prairie View didn't win football games. So
sometimes I still don't win. Okay.
Yes. We love you.
Don't do us like that. So the thing that I had to focus on was the halftime show. And if I don't know anything else, that's what I knew. So I just had to always, you know, come in with my head up, win, lose, or draw. And the pride that HBCUs have, it is unmatched. And it's so unmatched that now the rest of the world, they're trying to be like us. But once upon a time, we were told, oh, you went to a black school.
Right. And you know what? This is when I transitioning back home for those semesters for college, you know, you had your friends whose parents, and we just being real, HBCUs, even in the black community, sometimes they were not good enough for other black students, right? And so we'd get home and we'd hang out, you know, you meet up with your friends, and we would sit down and share our stories about what happened at school and those kind of things like that. And they would be like, man, y'all, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, I wish I could do that, right? But the experiences that you have at an HBCU, it's nothing, you can't explain it, right? That you go through, the fun that you have, the memories that you build, you know what I'm saying? Like, those things only happen at an HBCU. Like Robert said, it's like attending a family reunion. I may not see you for 5 years, but when I show up to homecoming, I mean, it's nothing but love. You know, we hugging, we dapping, even from a perspective of you didn't pledge in college, you pledged after you got in college. All of it is wiped out the window when you go back, because at this point, it's family. We're love. It's all about the HBCU experiences, and it's also the network, right? Because one of the things that I'll share, the first job that I got from someone who worked at Southern, right? And I walked into human resources, and he said, "You went to Grambling?" I was like, "Yes, sir." He said, "I went to Southern." All I said was, "Oh, hell." His name was Archie Blanks, and he was the director of human resources for Aldine Independent School District. And he said, "I am emailing 7 schools to give you interviews by the end of this week." And it was just all from an HBCU.
That's
love,
amazing.
Right?
That's amazing.
Attribute that. I thank him for that, right? Because he didn't, you know, some people are real petty like that. I mean, you went to Southern Grambling, and I get out of here. But he really looked out for me, not only for being a black male, but for being but from graduating from an HBCU. So
that is why it's so important that we're in the spaces and the places that we need to be positioned in those spots so we can lift one another up. That is why that's so important. And I'm very glad that you brought that up, because not only is it about just one particular school, we need to be lifting one another up.
It's a network.
That's right.
It is a network.
That's all about.
It's a very strong network. And then I'm going to come back to the comment from Tammy, but we have Deborah Hill Langston Strong. She says, and I have to encourage my daughter to go to an HBCU PB, but I often find myself frustrated with the handling of business, financial aid, housing, credit transfer, follow-up, but the experience is like no other, but I'm feeling like now it's worth it, which takes us to this conversation, and I'm trying to get UAPB back in. I can't. He left the studio, but I can't even let him right now, which is so crazy to me. All right, but
so while we're trying to get him back in, I'm gonna attest to what she's saying. It's very difficult. It's been difficult since 2001. when I was there. And I think as HBCUs, this is something that we deal with across the board as far as financial aid is concerned. But I challenge her to make sure that she gets with somebody that she knows on the campus. Especially, and that's why I say I attribute so much to the Marching Storm and to the Charles Gilpin players and to Prof. Ed and to Celie Turner, because they walked our stuff through. It's no other university that you can go to where the person that's over the department is walking your stuff through. So
yes,
I will say get with your child's department head and have them walk their stuff through, because sometimes, you know, when we're dealing with electronic devices, things get mixed up. And right now we're in a challenging time, but I will say that it is worth it. Because the process at Prairie View A&M University, when I was there, you had to definitely pack your patience. I don't know about any other school, but you definitely had to pack your patience. So just be patient. And, you know, if she would like to get my information, I definitely can see if I can do something to make that process just a little bit more easier than what it already is.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I want to also quickly add to what you just said, Roenia. I think the technology aspect during the pandemic, it has really forced HBCUs to step their game up and become more cutting edge, because I serve as an admin. And so professor at Southern. And so what it has done is a lot of us have to go through the training necessary to be able to offer courses online, even though I'm already, I was already teaching online, but many other professors, they were teaching traditionally. And so they're basically having to gain the professional development needed in order to become individuals who can offer courses online. And that's just for any institution. I think that's what the pandemic has, unfortunately, I hate the fact that it had to happen this way, but it has happened. And so I think that is something that is necessary in order for us to move forward in the future.
This is a unique opportunity.
I want to piggyback off of what Roenia said. Roenia said something very valid, right? She was like, you can take my number. Guys, if you are running into problems getting into HBCUs, there are a number of people that you can reach out to. You have your alumni associations, right? There are people who are just prideful in the community who will say, listen, I can get done what you need. Just let me know exactly what it is that you need to get done, right? Because a lot of times as parents, we get frustrated. And so we just say, forget it, right? And not remembering that, you know what, there are resources out there that are actually at my fingertips. We want kids to go to Grambling, right? So if you're running into a problem, it's 2 or 3 alumni associations, but I'm a member of the Douglas L. Williams chapter of the Grambling State University. I had to throw that blurb in there. But but utilize your resources, parents, because like, for instance, a perfect example for me, I was on a scholarship to go to Grambling, right? And so I was frustrated with a teacher, and I only carried 12 hours this semester, and I dropped the class. Well, when I dropped the class, what did I do? I lost my scholarship. I was like, oh, shoot, I'm going to tell my mama. She's going to take me to go to school, right? But there was a man on Grambling's campus. His name was Dr. Jones. Y'all remember Dr. Jones? He taught English, Dr. Jones, right? And I went to Dr. Jones, and Dr. Jones was real astute. I said, Dr. Jones, I said, I lost my scholarship. And his exact words were, well, Mr. Jenkins, how did you do that? And so I explained it to him, right? But because of the reputation that I had around campus for getting things done, just basically being who I was, he walked me back to the office, and he told those people, listen, I don't care what we need to do. He needs his scholarship back, right? But had I not reached out to my resource, I never would have gotten that. And I was right there on campus. So said all that to say, parents, make sure that you are utilizing the people. Google on Facebook, search on Facebook, the alumni associations in your area, right? Look at your friends list and see who else went to school in those areas so that your children can reap the benefits of being at an HBCU.
And that is so key. Like you said, because of HBCUs, there are children who maybe wouldn't go to college. I talked to a Graham alum. She's a friend of mine. She didn't even know where she was going to school, right? She graduated and she wanted to get out of the house. Her friend had gotten a scholarship to Grambling, and she rode to Grambling with her to help her take her stuff. And she said, you know what? I'm not going back home. And got her stuff together, and they helped her to get enrolled. And that's the benefit of things like open enrollment, or for students who don't have the grades maybe, or that didn't have the opportunity or the resources. You can be a first generation college student and still go, and like you said, and get the help that you need, whereas in other institutions it's pretty much cut and dry. We don't know you are a number, and I'm sorry, we can't help you. You just have to go home and then go to community college, which nothing is wrong with that. But you can take a stranger and they become like family to you because they see that you need help and they know that the process is not easy. So can you talk about a time for you all, like you said, whether it's, KP Hodges said you have a support system. Talk about what it was like in the programs that are were available and still available at these universities to help students to develop, to become strong, solid, successful people out here in this world.
So I'm gonna start off by saying, my college professor, Shulie Turner, I majored in theater at Prairie View, and I also was in the Marching Storm, and that was like unheard of because we rehearsed at the same time. So I honestly don't know how I did it, but the word that Dr. Tia said earlier was resilient. Prairie View taught me resilience. It taught me how to manage my time because, being in theater, it's a hurry up and wait thing. But when it's time to go, you're going back to back to back to back. And when I first got to Prairie View, Mr. Turner said, so I heard you in the Marching Storm. I said, yes, sir. I said, I'm going to do band and I'm going to do theater. He didn't say anything else. He didn't tell me don't do it. He said, okay, because he knew I had been doing it already. So I would be a lead in a show, but also have the Cotton Bowl coming up. But both of the professors knew that, hey, if you're taking care of your business, you're good to go. Flexibility. Any other program that I probably would have been in the country probably would have kicked me out. But because he knew that music was something that I had been doing a long time, and then, I was a singer as well, this helped cultivated me as a performer. Because when I got to Prairie View, I didn't really know how to dance. Only thing I knew how to do was sing and act. So being in the Marching Storm, that helped me to become a better dancer. It helped me to learn choreography. And now the majority of the shows that I do are musicals. So just being in a very rigorous program to where, we will be out there 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Rehearsing because
that's
we have
a life being in organizations like that. The band,
right. And the thing is, we were out there at the same time, but it taught me that if you want to be excellent in what it is that you do, you have to practice. And, me being on stage at Theater Under Stars in Houston at the Hobby Center, you're going to practice 8 hours a day. But I was able to learn 12 songs in one day in my first rehearsal. And it wasn't because I'm so great, I'm so good, because we didn't have the most money on my program, but we did have people that cared about us, that molded us not only to be great artists, but to also be just great stewards of what it is that we do, being able to take care of your homework and all of that good stuff at the same time and be on the dean's list. I don't know how I did it. And I'm going to talk about LeBrandan Jenkins. I was blessed to have his son in my theater class. Well, not in my theater class, but I grabbed him on the first day and I said, you're going to be in my theater program. He said, no, I'm not. But he came and he's just an excellent artist. And it's so beautiful to be able to see me be able to work with people that I know, their children, and cultivate them, the next generation of artists. And that's what you get from an HBCU. It's kind of like a circle of life, to where once they instill it into you, you're able to instill it into someone else's child, regardless of what HBCU or regardless of what background they come from. So that was one of the great experiences that I got a chance to experience at Prairie View, being a theater major.
Go ahead, y'all keep talking. We're trying to get our brother back in. We're still here in the studio, tuned in live with HOH 77.7. I don't know what happened to our boy.
I need my frat back in here, man.
Let me find out, fam, you didn't took y'all spot.
What happened?
That would probably be Mississippi Valley. But
this is what we're doing. So yes, while we're doing this, so we're talking about the family support, right? The love. And I didn't even really share my story that I started out. I didn't know actually that I wanted to go to Grambling probably until my last few months of high school, because I was making good grades, top of my class, same thing. And people said, oh, you need to go to Louisiana Tech. You need to go to any other school but Grambling, because I heard things like, oh, if you go there, it's a party school and you're going to come home pregnant and all of these negative things, and you're too smart to go to Grambling. And that just did not even make sense to me. And I ultimately chose Grambling, and it was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah.
Yes. And even when I was struggling in my major, I was a nursing major first, and I realized that I didn't like it. I didn't want to give people shots. I didn't want to do that. And so I looked at the course catalog and I found speech pathology. Again, I reached back out to somebody from my hometown and said, hey, you're a speech pathologist. Tell me about it. The first thing they said, you need to get your ducks in a row and get over there to Louisiana Tech. Grambling had a program. That program prepared me. We didn't have as many resources as some of the larger schools, but they prepared me. When I went to graduate school at a PWI, I was further ahead than my counterparts. I'd taken courses that they hadn't even taken. And some of the same girls from Louisiana Tech looked at me like, you took that? Like you did that at Grambling? So speak to some of the myths and some of the negative things that you heard or over the years that keep our students from our universities.
Well, it's kind of twofold for me because like when I think about it from an athletic standpoint, right? The first thing that the boys are saying is, well, I'm not going to get any TV time. I'm not going to get any, what I'm saying? I'm not going to be able to develop in this program. Not realizing that HBCUs have put just as many people into the pros as PWIs, right? Excuse me, but they're not getting the recognition behind it, right? And a lot of it is based on the airtime. But what I tell the younger kids right now is, here's the deal. Do you want to go to a school who's going to develop you as an athlete? You may not get that TV time, but you're gonna get the yardage that you want. You're gonna get the things that you need that's gonna put you on the map where people will start looking at you, right? Because you're gonna go to a PWI and you're not gonna get playing time for 3 years, whereas you can walk into an HBCU and just because you're as good as the other person, you will begin to play and begin to get that recognition and then possibly be able to move, right? So when you look at it from that standpoint, that presents a different dilemma. When you look at it from an academic standpoint, right? So what a lot of people don't know is while I was in the middle of education, I quit education, excuse me, and I went and I did corporate America, and I worked in human resources, right? And my HR director told me, and I quote, you have 3 stacks. You have a PWI stack, you have an HBU stack, and you have a stack for people that we just don't want to deal with, right? And I literally would have to go through those resumes and be like, okay, PWI stack, and a HBCU stack. But what he didn't realize was that before I called the PWIs, I looked at the HBCU stack. Why? Because I was a graduate of an HBCU. You looked at my master's degree. I don't think that you took a look back as far as my undergrad, because based upon what you were telling me, I never would have gotten the job, right? what people fail to realize is that HBCU graduates are governors. HBCU graduates are politicians. HBCU are, if I'm not mistaken, the CEO of United Airlines. He just was named. He's Black. He's green.
Apple.
And he graduated from an HBCU. You see what I'm saying? So we produce cognitively and academically, we produce well-rounded people. We can go out there and compete with the best of them. The reason why is because at an HBCU, we have to work, right? We have to learn. Your teachers make sure that you grasp whatever it is that you need to grasp to be successful. But not only that, if you don't understand it, guess what? You can go knock on their door and they're going to help you because they want you to be successful. I wasn't a number at Grambling, right? I wasn't a sign in on line 35 every day, right? Teachers knew my name, right? Teachers could speak to me. They saw me on the yard. Hey, Mr. Jenkins, how you doing? Because it was a family. And that's what we need. We learn to balance. We learned how to say, okay, you know what? I can go to work and get this work done, and I can still party and have a good time. Right?
Correct. KP Hodges said, yep, right? All night.
PWI, you're so, and I can say that because I attended too, right? You're so stretched. They're so rigid. You got to get this done by this time. This is due at 1:35. If it's not turned in at 1:35, you've lost 15 points. Well, at an HBCU, you know, your grandmother could have got sick. They're going to understand because family is important. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference.
All right. So real quick, before we jump into this commercial and try to help our brother get back in, KP just said, and it's a great way to go out to a commercial. We party all night and we stay out late, but most of all, we graduate.
We do.
That Graham fam, HBC love. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be right back after this commercial break on HOH 77.7.
Come on.
So we're going to try to get our boy. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you have some questions, let's see. We're going to try to get the all over here.
So, LeBrandan,
what happened to him? He just left.
Are you working on your doctorate degree right now?
I am. So I'm at Abilene Christian. I'm working on it in organizational leadership. And it had
one of my concentrations is.
Okay,
I have 2 concentrations.
But two of them you got from where? What is it? Yes. I'm currently working on it. I just entered year 2. I'm sorry, I just finished year 1. I just entered year 2. And it hasn't been a struggle for me at all. So my mom taught me English, right, in high school. I had great English teachers, so I know how to write. That's the easy part for me, right? But I can literally say I have people who went to PWIs and they're inboxing me for help on their assignments, right? Based on the discussions that we're having. And I'm saying to myself, really? Really? Is this what we're doing? You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, they don't think that you can keep up when you graduate from an HBCU, right? And that's unfair, right? It's an unfair assessment, right? But whereas I have one B in this program, and I'm mad about that B, right? You guys are calling me because you're not understanding the fact of why wasn't this sentence written correctly? But your education, quote unquote, is better than mine, right?
Right.
Foundation is foundation, right? So
and that's a funny thing that you talked about, the whole writing aspect. I'm an actress, but also write, my script. And it's been a lot of people. I also ghostwrite, y'all. I ain't gonna tell everybody, but I ghostwrite.
Come on, ghostwriter.
So I've gotten people from Texas Southern, U of H, Rice University, who just get so overwhelmed when they say, "Hey, you have a 10-page paper due."
Mm-hmm.
They get overwhelmed. So what I do is I start talking. I talk to text and I write their paper and I charge them $500-$600, whatever.
Come on now.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you said about the foundation. I think because I'm a high school teacher, now I see that literacy is not where it's supposed to be. So these students, once they get to high school, like they're not looking at college simply because they don't think that they can survive and they can make it. Correct. But that the HBCUs have programs that are set in place for those that may not be as strong as they should as far as their scores are concerned, and we can put them in those summer programs. But I think what needs to happen is these counselors that we have at these high schools.
Come on.
Y'all got to start talking about the HBCUs because they didn't. It was upward bound. University of Houston had a program to where they actually took us out of state. I didn't know anything about, the Gramblings. I had never been to a football game, a bio classic, none of that until they took me to that school and I was exposed to the HBCU. I knew about Prairie View, but I didn't know about the HBCU because nobody was telling me about it.
I was getting ready to piggyback off of what you just said, right? So in high school, it is the counselor's job to make sure that these students are aware of the colleges and universities, right? Yeah. But what they want to do is they want to promote, and I'm gonna speak for Texas, right? They want to promote the A&Ms, they want to promote the University of Houston's, they want to promote Rice. You know what I'm saying? Every kid is not equipped to go to that, to go to those kind of schools, right? Some of those kids need that same kind of small atmosphere that's provided in high school because everybody learns differently, right? Some kids don't want to be sitting in a class of 210 people trying to learn because number one, they're dyslexic, right? And so they're already embarrassed, right? Or here's the deal. I come from a poor family and I can't afford to go to an A&M. So if all you tell me is that I can go to an A&M and I can't afford to go, then I'm going to take another avenue because I'm not going to put my parents through that. Instead of saying, okay, you know what? Listen, you made good grades. I understand your parents may not be able to afford it, but here is somebody that is willing to work with you. You'll be able to go to school, get a quality education, be able to afford to pay for it when you get out, and do well in life, right?
Brandon, the thing is, the money is there. If your EFC is zero, you about to get you some money. Correct. But the problem is they don't tell our children this.
Correct.
And I have a problem with that.
But see, here's the deal. They tell who they want to tell. Right. And that's what bothers me. So like I went to Washington Marion Magnet High School in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
We are back. We just heard a song on the radio and the conversation continues over here on HOA 77.7. They are going in. This HBCU love is real. Now back, pick up where you left off, LeBrandan. You were saying something real strong and we're going to keep moving.
So I went to an all-black high school, right? But they did a good job of diversifying, like I'm gonna just say college days, right? So you had your McNeese State University, LSU, Northwestern. You had all those schools from Louisiana, but you also made sure that every black university in the state was also there and recognized because they gave us a choice, right? And so because they gave us a choice, we were able to make decisions that were good for us, right? It's not fair to these kids that all of these schools are only preaching these PWIs or these prestigious universities when our black universities are offering the same degrees, right? When our black universities are producing producing the nation's best, right? You have to let these kids know more options because number one, if my mother didn't graduate, or let's get away from my mother. If my family didn't graduate from college, then guess what? I'm only going to go by what you tell me because guess what? That's all I know, right? And so people still listen to counselors. People still listen to teachers, right? And because there's still a form of respect for them, they're going to go with what you said. Give them a full plate of options, right? Don't just give me rice and meat. Give me rice, meat, potatoes, green beans, yams, ham hocks, whatever it is that's going to make it full so that I can have a choice of what I want to eat and partake in, right? Because you're doing these kids an injustice.
Yep. And that's why it's really important that the alumni associations, I'm the vice president of the Prairie View Marching Band Alumni Association, and that's one of our main things. We're going to go to Dallas. We're going to show our faces. We're going to wear our, attire when it's time to go and speak at different high schools to let them know that, hey, when you look at me, you see a HBCU product. And sometimes some of these same counselors, same administrators, y'all got y'all's master's degree
from our universities. Come on. Yeah, come on.
What I don't understand is, why can't you tell someone else that can, probably get students to come to our school, hey, come to our campus, recruit. They never get the phone call. And the thing is, some of the HBCUs are like, well, they don't send their students to us. But Prairie View A&M University, I can speak on our behalf, we have a very high Hispanic population now.
I do.
Very high. And the demographics of the district that I work for, Aldine ISD, it mirrors that. So right now I'm working on a project to where we can get those high school students to go to Prairie View. And then once they graduate, if they want to become educators, we have this sort of lifeline that's happening. We groom them to be Aldine ISD educators. And that way we have this circle of life going on. We have this fellowship, we have this network so that we can feed one another. But I think sometimes we get so caught up in a name. A lot of these professors, they don't just teach at one university, they teach at several universities. So you're essentially getting the same education, because as we know in Texas, you have a curriculum that you have to follow. So if everybody is following the same curriculum, I don't see why they're saying that I should go to Sam Houston State University versus Prairie View A&M University to major in theater. I just knew that I wasn't going to be on the stage at Sam Houston, so I didn't even apply, because I didn't see me. I didn't see me. And just because you're great at the thing that you do, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get that time. Just like we talked about those athletes. Would you rather go to a school where you're going to get some playing time, or do you want to sit down? You want to go where you can get some playing time. And I think we are not, and I have to say it in a way to where I don't offend anybody. If you don't
say it, just say it.
It is about
if you don't know, shut up. You ain't never been to school, so why you telling people, oh, that's a ghetto school, that's a black? That's all I would hear. And I'm like, wait a minute. When I step into the classroom, I have a professor that says we don't bite our nails at the university. We don't walk in late at the university. I had never heard that before. And that was something that really just taught me how to carry myself when I was in a university or academic setting. Like, you don't bite your nails? I had never heard that before. And he would tell us how to carry ourselves. But then you have someone that's telling me that have never been to my university, they don't have any standards. It's a ghetto school. It's a black school. All they do is party. You're not going to learn anything. That was something that I wanted to try to eradicate just as an educator, to show them, sometimes you have to learn the best of both worlds. Now, y'all know as well as I do, every school parties. I don't care if it's a PWI, if it's an HBCU.
A junior college.
We attended PWIs. I went there for graduate school, and I have, again, friends, multicultural circles. They go hard. It's a different level. So they stop that. Let's just take that out, that we only party at HBCU. They pass out, party, get drunk. It's another level of partying that I had not even experienced. It's just a bit much. So
right. And the one thing about it is, we complained about a lot of the symposiums and things that we had to attend. We were at Grambling. I was like, man, we got to go to this again for a grade. But no lie. But when I sit down and I look at it now, it taught me how to behave in certain situations, right? It taught me not to be looking around looking for my friends. It taught me how to pay attention, right? It taught me how to sit up and erect. It taught me life lessons that I didn't understand now, that I didn't understand back then, right? But I understand now. And had it not been for some of those things that they made us go to against our will, then I would not know. Let me not say I wouldn't know, but I may not have understood the significance of what it takes to stand out and look the part when I go into these professional environments, right? Grambling taught us how to interview, right? Before they would bring down all these they would have like these career days, and your department would call you in, and they would literally work with you on how to interview, how to speak with confidence, what to say, how to look you in the eye. And that prepared me to go out. When I walked into my first interview, I wasn't afraid, right? Because I was able to sit down and say, man, listen, they prepared me. It's nothing that you can throw at me that I'm not going to be prepared for, right? But if you go to a PWI, I'm sorry, I can say that they're not offering those kind of things. They're not offering those kind of things for us, right? You're there, you get your money, you graduate, get it if you get it. If you don't get it, you know what I'm saying? We still got your money. But HBCUs they deposit into your success, right? And that is what sets us apart. Parents have to understand, and this is what kills me, right? You went to an HBCU, but you don't want your child to go to an HBCU.
That part.
But you are a success, right? And your success is contributed or attributed, to the fact of where you got your foundation. But an HBCU school is not good enough for your own child. Come on, man, y'all gotta do better.
It doesn't make sense.
I'm glad that you brought that up also. And I think about too the guest speakers that we would have to come to the university. I remember Cornel West came while I was in school. Dr. Janetta B. Cole, even Barack Obama before he became president came to Southern University. Those were opportunities that, I mean, they're once in a lifetime. I mean, you see those individuals on television and you can say, you know what? I had the opportunity to meet this person. I have their book. They talk to me. All of those great things. Which brings me to the issue that with me being the state president of the Louisiana Association of Educators, we do not have enough individuals going into the field of education who look like us. There are less and less people who are going into that field. They're considering education to be a low completer program, and they're trying to shut them down in HBCUs. Why is that so critical? Because individuals who look like us need to be able to shape, build, and mold the minds of the individuals who look like us. They are depending on, those children are dependent on us as educators to lift them up and bring them up and encourage them that, yes, I too can go to an HBCU just like Miss Thompson. I can go to an HBCU just like Mr. Jenkins did. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that is a very, very important thing. And we need to push that.
Hold on real quick. We're getting ready to have to get out of here, guys. You know what?
Out of here. It's time already. Come on, man.
Time flies when you're having fun, though. Time flies when you're having fun.
We have to do a part 2 because we have to get UAPB back. We didn't hear him, and he was ready to talk about his experience. He started at a people. But I'm going to end with this, and then we'll end the radio, and then we'll close out with you guys. But for those of you who tuned in to HOH 77.7 to Speak It, we're here every Thursday, and we're talking about topics. We talk about it from a realistic perspective. We have fun. We give you information, and your goal is to take it. This is my challenge. Everything that we've given you, the information that we've shared with you, information, words, communication is like a fire. You take it and you pass it on, and that person passes it on, and you charge everybody that's around you. That's how we do better. That's how we are going to move needles. That's how we're going to make change. You take those words and you turn them into action. Until next week, I say in the West African term, Ashe. Go out and have a good night. All right, guys. And then we're off of this, but we're getting ready to close out. We're going to have to do a part 2. Thank you for tuning in, Facebook.
Yeah, man, this was fun.
Yes, let them know, people. Give us some hearts. Let us know if you love this topic and if we need to come back for a part 2, because they were ready so much. We didn't even talk as much trash. We talked our trash. And then but
you know, this was very insightful, right? Because you have with really 5 different perspectives of 5 different HBCUs. But even though our experiences were all different, we all were able to say the